We interrupt this message for a very important broadcast. Welcome to the Distillery on PodX.
I'm going to be honest with you, that smells like pure gasoline.
Yeah, buddy. Okay, it's going down. We're talking MMA on the Distillery this week. I'm really excited. I got a couple of special guests that know what they're talking about when it comes to fighting. Okay, maybe it's not like that. It's probably more like type stuff. But that tells you how much I know about it, which is why I'm really excited to bring on a couple of dudes that know what they're talking about. Okay, first of all, Jett Grande, local fighter, 22-year-old welterweight. Guy's a beast. He's 15-1-0 in an amateur MMA bouts, and also Wolfgang Janssen, 29 years old. All right, he's 5-2-0, and he's kind of moved a little bit more to the training side. Boys, how in the crap are you doing?
Good. I'm doing really good. Glad to be here.
All right, Wolfie. I love that beer, by the way. The last time I saw you, you were clean, man. That's what the lockdown does to you.
It's been a little bit, man.
Okay, Jett, well, let's talk a little bit. Sorry, man, what? I don't know, man. I think you need to grow it.
It was a while since you saw me. It was a long time ago.
It was. I'm glad I got both of you, though. So, Jett, ranked first among 116 active Canadian amateur welterweights. That's got to feel good. You've had some success going forward. When did you get started?
Well, I got started training actually at 12 years old. Basically, what happened was I got an invite from a friend just to come try it out with Jason McDonald's gym, Pure Fitness. Within the first 2 training sessions, I just fell in love with it, and I just stuck with it ever since. And then, I just honestly, like with the first week of training, I was like, I want to be a fighter. Like, I want to do this. Like, this is fun. Like, I loved it. And then,
Jason McDonald, real quick, former UFC fighter, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
From right here. Is he from Red Deer or is he just here now?
No, he was from Red Deer. I don't know where he's originally from, but he was living in Red Deer when I was training anyways. So right. Yeah.
So go ahead. You picked up a couple of sessions and that was it. You're like, I want to punch people in the face.
Yeah, exactly. And then basically from there, I was training there from 12 to 13, and then 13, I made the transition over to Arashido, Red Deer Martial Arts, and that's where I currently train. And I've just been there ever since, and I've just been still training there. So,
now, Wolfgang, you train there as well, right? You're an Arashido guy. You're kind of one of the OGs. How have you been there since the beginning, or how long has this center been around?
Yeah, I don't really know who necessarily was before me, but I was with Gary since the age of like 16. Which was pretty much like the beginning of Arashido in Red Deer, and that was back in 2000 and I think 2008 or 9 or no later 2007. I joined with Gary.
So Arashido, is it more like is it a specialized institute where you're doing jits, or is it where you do everything when you go to Arashido? Go ahead, Jett.
It's
Wolf, yeah.
Okay. It's a pretty well-rounded gym. Like when I was starting to train, they had boxing, kickboxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Gary's specialized in Kodokan karate, so he also had the karate going, and they still got the same thing going. So they still have like a really good, diverse gym where you can pretty much train like 4 different martial arts.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, right, Jett? Like when you train MMA, a lot of people, like back in the day, like if we talk about the OG way of it, it was like you were either a jits guy or you were a wrestler or you were a boxer. Yeah. But now, is it fair to say that MMA kind of is its own discipline where it combines everything else?
Yeah, I kind of do think so, because that's my personal opinion, because the punches into the takedowns is a skill in itself. The ground and pound is a skill in itself. The cage work is a skill in itself. The distance and timing of striking in MMA is slightly different from boxing or kickboxing. So I do think it is a different art in itself almost. But you still need to have at least a good understanding in boxing, wrestling, BJJ, in my opinion, to be successful in MMA. So,
well, Wolf, like when MMA started, I mean, it was kind of an anything goes sort of thing. For those that don't know, like, did they not allow junk shots and like foot stomps and all this sort of stuff?
Foot stomps, maybe, but junk shots, absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
I think UFC 1 they did, like the first couple UFCs, like in the 1990s, they did allow groin shots, but other than that, yeah, no, definitely not.
Good God. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. See, that's my discipline, is behind the Stettler Hotel Foo, where you come in, right, and the first thing I do is put my hands up real high and get your eyes up, and then bam, right to the pills. Now, you can't do that, of course. Yeah. You can't do that in the cage. It's an entirely different thing. But it's a serious sport. I think that MMA fighters are probably some of the greatest athletes in the world when you look at not only the all of the different disciplines that come into it, but the conditioning. Now, I've seen you guys do a little bit of work out, right? Like, how do you manage to keep yourself in that top machine sort of mode? You must sacrifice a lot.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Wolfgang can say the same, but yeah, I've sacrificed a lot. Yeah, and just every day-to-day life, you sacrifice a lot, especially when I'm training 2 sessions a day, which I usually do 90% of my life, 2 training sessions a day. Yeah, I do sacrifice a lot. And it's the small little details that make the difference. Like if you're getting 7 or 8 hours of rest every day at night, if you're, how many meals, how the meal timing makes a difference, like what you're eating makes a difference. Like, yeah, it all adds up, so there's a lot of sacrifice to it.
Well, Wolf, like you've now moved more into the training side of things. So what sort of regimen is a fighter looking at when they come under your wing that you're going to put them through?
Well, I mean, I don't really have any fighters under my wing like that. I do have, like, obviously my like Jets and other fighters that I work with, like I'll train with,
right.
Whenever they need like a body or a sparring partner, or but I do have a lot of jiu-jitsu fighters under my wing that I coach and train with on a daily basis. It's a difference between like a competitive fighter and then like just somebody that's kind of just doing it for a hobby and to get in good shape. So obviously, if you're a competitive fighter, depending on when you got a fight coming up, like Jett said, there's a lot of sacrifice. You're training 2 times a day, maybe 3 times a day. 5 to 6 days a week, trying to get your at least 1 day a week rest in. You're on a strict diet. It can be tough.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, explain a little bit about jits, because some people from the background might go, jiu-jitsu, is that where a bunch of dudes are rolling around together and stuff? And it might to the outside goober look easy, but it's like sustained, constant pressure, and it's got to be a million times harder than it looks, right?
Yeah, well, I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under Professor CJ here in Calgary, 101 Academy. I mean, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is as technical as it gets, man. If you think about like a chess game, that's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man. There's one move here, next move counter. Dude, it can get pretty intense pretty quickly. But it's amazing, man. It's an amazing martial art. I think that more people should train it, especially man, woman, or child. Everybody should get involved in some sort of martial art. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is definitely up there.
Like kids can do this, and it's going to be done in a way where they're not going to get hurt or something. Like, I mean, Jett, maybe you can.
Man, I train. Yeah, I coach. So like, I coach. We have kids jiu-jitsu program here, and I coach them 2 to 3 times a week, and we have 20 plus kids on the mats. And barely ever any injuries, man. Ever. We take care of them.
Yeah.
If it's a good coach and a good system, they're really looked after, and made sure that they're progressively, getting into it the right way and doing the right things for sure.
Right. Now, if you were going to take any sort of martial art as a self-defense, and I know, listen, Cobra Kai is the big thing right now. Everybody's watching the karate, right? And there's definitely, I'm sure there's some technicality to that. But if you were going to take a self-defense class, what sort of discipline would make the most sense for street? If somebody was actually coming at you.
You go first, Jetty.
Well, I'm gonna say probably Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for sure, especially for the average person, because like 9 times out of 10, when you're actually fighting, people tend to grab a hold of you, and then they tend to go to the ground, and you got to learn how to defend yourself.
Right.
Especially for self-defense. Like self-defense, you wanna get out of there as safe as possible. So if you can pick up some defensive tools and yeah, sometimes the best self-defense is just not fighting, so like yelling or whatever. But like, yeah, I think BJJ is the best place to start. Like, I really do. So,
and the gyms have popped up kind of everywhere. They're usually pretty available. I mean, here in Red Deer, you mentioned Arashi Do, Calgary. I mean, there's probably multiples. You just got to look it up, do the Google search, and get your kids into something to get them fit and train some discipline. And that's a lot of what it is, I would imagine, as you two that fought competitively. That discipline side of things, like, do you have to take, like, some sort of Bushido oath or something where it's like, I ain't going out with the boys, no drinks, eating the right thing all the time? Does it get stressful to commit yourself all the time like that? Go ahead, Wolf.
Well, there's definitely no Bushido oath. It definitely comes down to your own commitment and values, because, I mean, there's guys that are fighters that aren't as serious, and then there's guys that are true professionals and are very serious about their preparation and about all the facets that come along with that.
Like, if you guys were to go to a fight, you would be able to know. Like, you would tell a difference from a dude that just by looking at him, right, Jett? If you're looking at your opponent, you could probably look at him and go, that bro put the work in, or like, he's coming in looking a little funky. Is that bullshit? Is that right?
A little bit. Like, it really depends. Like, if I like see him warm, like maybe if I see him warm up and see him in the fight, yeah, you can sometimes tell. Like, if you can sometimes tell just by watching a guy fight, like how good his cardio is, or like, I don't know, even just see him warming up on the pads. There's been a couple of times on the local show I see guys just hitting pads, and they're like, they barely know what they're doing, or like, or you see watch a guy on fight and he gets put on his back, he doesn't know how to react. Like that means they're not really well prepared, So
yeah. I mean, that's me. Wolfgang had me and my co-host from the station come in to hit the bag a little bit. I was like, he just wanted me to punch for a minute. I was done, man. It didn't last very long. So I'm one of those guys that I better catch you real quick, or else I'm just going to be on my back wheezing. But there is so much more to it, Wolf. When we were going through it, even the mechanics of a kick and the mechanics of a punch, in order to not only deliver something that's a good strike, but also doesn't hurt yourself. That's the other thing I didn't realize. If you punch wrong, you can really mess up maybe your wrist or your hand, right? There's so much more to it than people think when it comes to throwing down something like that. So where do you learn something like that? Because jiu-jitsu is all about rolling around on the ground and grabbing dudes and wrapping them up, right? The striking side of thing, Wolfgang, did you do like a kickboxing class or like boxing or both?
Oh yeah, definitely tons of kickboxing classes, tons of boxing classes. Obviously, I started in Red Deer with Gary because he offers kickboxing, and then I mean I've trained all over the world, from in Brazil, me and Jett in Thailand, America, and it was always when you're training for MMA fight, you have to prepare. In every martial art, you can't just you can't skip one for the other. You have to train your boxing, you have to train your kickboxing, you have to train your wrestling, you have to train your jiu-jitsu. Like, you're busy, man, and it can get it can get pretty clunky sometimes. But yeah, absolutely, tons of kickboxing. Yeah.
I mean, Jett, has your training taken you to different parts of the world to try? And I'm trying to understand that, because I thought a lot of this stuff was so vastly, widely accepted that you wouldn't have to train in Thailand. Like, what would be the point of that? Just because they're doing it different, or that's where it originated and that's where you want to do it, right?
Well, I went to Thailand just to get different looks, just different training partners, and they got world-class training there, so it's just good to get different looks from different gyms too, I got really good training in Red Deer too, but it's good to get different looks, because you need different training partners too. So like, if you're getting too used to one training partner, and then when you go in the ring, it could throw you off potentially, if they're a lot different from what you're used to seeing or whatever. So, it's just good to expand your knowledge, good to expand your experience. Just, it just helps you become stronger,
I think a lot of people don't realize how cerebral a lot of this MMA stuff is. And one of the first times I ever noticed it, as I was watching The Ultimate Fighter, and it was the year that Conor McGregor was the first time he was a coach. And who was the other guy? I hated that guy.
Uriah Faber.
Yeah, right. And then Uriah Faber comes in with this surf-a-dude thing. But Conor, I could tell, took this very cerebral approach about it, about expecting certain things. But then there was this relaxation within the ring. When I think about fighting, it's full of adrenaline. It's get it done as quick as possible. But I imagine for you two, fighting off emotion is not a smart way of doing it. How do you control yourself when you start getting frustrated in the ring? And is there a mental practice that you can do for something like that?
Well, honestly, for me, I don't get frustrated. I don't get mad. I don't have any emotion in the ring. Like I'm just doing it. Like I just react and I just do it, to be honest with you. Like when you actually, like for me, when I actually compete, like I very rarely, like when we actually start fighting, I don't really feel anything. I'm just going through the actions, like everything I drilled in the training room. I'm just kind of just going through the motions. Right. That's how I feel.
So you've become a muscle memory robot at that point. It's like you see him wind up. Okay, he's going to kick. You're already reacting to it, sort of thing.
A little bit, but yeah, 100%. And then, like, I mean, like in life, like I guess sometimes you get mad, or sometimes a training session doesn't go your way. When that happens, sometimes, yeah, you can get mad or you can get a little bit down, but it's okay. You just got to remember, life isn't always going all the way up. So sometimes there's rocky ups and downs. Sometimes you just got to accept it and just move on and know that it's going to get better. Just continue your plan, continue your goals, and it'll get better for you. So,
Wolf, here's maybe an example of emotion going wrong. We all remember Ronda Rousey and how she would roll in with this whole thing and this whole bravado and all this stuff, and she was going to rip your arm off. But the one time that she really got stymied was, remember, when she was fighting Holly Holm. And I don't know, at one point, I swear to God, she was crying in the ring. Like there was this frustration. She couldn't do that thing she always did. So, Wolfgang, is there an emotional side of it that you can train as well too, just to be, or keep your calm? Is there a breathing, or what is that all about? Because I'm sure it's got to be a big part of being a fighter.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's the mental game is it's probably, what they say, 90% mental, 10% physical. Is it really true? Especially with fighting, because it's scary for one thing. Going into a cage and having to fight somebody.
Are you scared? Are you both scared? Like when you went into the ring, were you kind of shitting bricks, or? Yeah.
Yeah.
There comes a time.
Honestly, I think
you get nervous as hell.
Yeah, you do. Everyone's a bit nervous, but it depends on the fight. But yeah, you're definitely nervous, man. Like, yeah.
Yeah, you're not. I'm not going to go play tennis. I'm going in there, and it's like, in a sense, it's kill or be killed. I'm either going to walk out there and with my hand raised, or I could walk out there and get knocked out. And it's happened to me, and it's a shitty part of that. It sucks, but it's part of the game. So you're definitely going in there with a good sense of nerves.
For those that are just tuning in, it is an awesome episode. I'm so glad to have Wolfgang Janssen and Jett Grande. We're talking about MMA. And if you have any questions for two guys that know what it's all about to get in the ring, or if you have any questions pertaining to fighting in general when it comes to perhaps the UFC, you guys, I'm sure, will be able to answer some questions. But Jett, I got to assume that that's the goal. You're a young guy now at your age. You've had a lot of experience. How the shit does one get into the UFC? Because I see Dana White going around looking at fights and signing fighters and stuff, but how does it realistically happen, right?
Well, for me right now, I just finished my amateur career, so now I'm going professional. So now it's just about building the enough amount of fights in my record good enough to get noticed by one of the bigger promotions, and then they'll scout you when, like, if I get 5-0 or 6-0 or whatever my record is, they're going to look at a guy like me and they'll probably have their eyes out and they're going to sign a contract and they're going to give me a contract or whatever. And then, so that's just, I got to get the amount of professional fights in me because because I did the 15-1 as an amateur, but now they're really looking at how many professional fights you have. So
that record's not going to mean shit going forward. It's not going to mean anything.
No, not really. No,
that sucks. It's a great record.
Because now I'm a professional. It's 0-0 as a professional. But don't get me wrong. That experience is going to go a long ways. Like, it'll help me a lot. Going further. Like, it's made me a better fighter. It's made me a better person. Like, the record's going to help, but just not. The UFC might not look at the record and be like, they'll probably think, oh yeah, that's cool. He had a whole bunch of amateur fights, but they're not really looking for that when they sign you. They look for what your professional record is and how marketable you are and certain things like that. So,
how do you balance that when there's really no money in the game for you right now? I mean, holding down some kind of work maybe, or like, how do you balance all that? The real finances of fighting. Like, Wolf, how much are lessons at Arashido if you're gonna get a membership and stuff like that for a regular schmuck?
At Arashido, I'm not too sure of what the prices are there, but
is it affordable?
101. Yeah. It's affordable. It's pretty much the same around as like a regular gym price you would pay on a month-to-month basis.
Oh, that's not too bad then. But now I look at a guy like Jett who's trying to do it all by the numbers. You got 2 training sessions a day, but then you got to look at your nutrition and all your supplements and all that stuff. Surely all of that has got to add up to some kind of astronomical number a month.
100%. That's why I'm actually really blessed and lucky. I have a whole bunch of sponsors that are sponsoring me to do this. So, they can help me out and support me financially and every way they can to help me out. So I got a whole bunch of them. I'm blessed them to have them on my team so I can continue to live this lifestyle. So so that's how I'm able to do it.
I can't even imagine. I mean, that's it. Like, what kind of supplements are we looking at? Like, how many jars do you got sitting around full of stuff that you got to take every day, right?
Honestly, I don't take much. I just take vitamin D is important. I take my creatine. I take my branched chain amino acids, my glutamine, and that's about it. And I have whey protein when I'm, after my workout, I'll put a scoop of whey protein, whatever. That's what I like. So yeah, it's not really, honestly,
it's not too crazy.
Most people, studies have been shown that a lot of people are vitamin D sufficient, so it might be good to supplement on vitamin D. But it's just have your basic supplements. Food is the number one. Like, have good diet. Have a good diet, and you should have most of your supplement covers through that. And then if you want to have a protein shake after your workout, that'll help your recovery a little bit. And then I think the glutamine, branched chain amino acids help your recovery a bit. And they're supplements, they're good. They're good. But people get a little, it's good. Yeah.
Well, I remember seeing it was GSP was showing a camera crew through his through his cabinets, and it was ridiculous. I mean, you touched on it though. Nutrition is very important. Meanwhile, I've got like the 2 fittest guy in the world. I'm sitting over here drinking a Ryan Coke. Cheers, fellas, by the way.
Yeah.
So Wolfgang, tell us a little bit about nutrition. For the basic schmuck that wants to get into the gym and feel better, because we've all been sitting around on our asses for like a year now. And I got to tell you, man, I feel terrible. I know I've put on some chunk, but diet is something that anybody can do. You don't have to be an MMA fighter. Tell us a little about some of the nutrition that comes into play when you're training, or if you're just trying to feel better.
Eating clean, man. Eating clean is important for sure. I mean,
what does that mean? A lot of people say
I'm
that.
no nutritionist. Yeah, so I'm no nutritionist, and I'm not, but
right.
I have experience, and you want to stick to your proteins, your complex carbs, high vegetable, good fats, lots of water.
What is good fat?
Water.
What's a good fat?
Good fats would be things like nuts, any kind of nuts. I really like cashews and almonds, so I eat a ton of cashews and almonds. Avocado, avocado is awesome too. Good butter, like a good all-natural grass-fed butter, can be a good fat as well.
So not animal fat
is good fat.
You got to cut the fat rind off the pork chop. You can't. That's not a good fat.
Yeah, pork is I don't know if it's the best. It's definitely not the best form of fat, I would say. But
so what sort of proteins?
Sometimes you gotta have that balanced lifestyle. Balanced lifestyle, man. Like you can't always eat healthy and you can't always eat crappy. You have to find a balance, especially for just the regular Joe. If you're not cutting for a show, you can't just be always eating clean, because you're gonna hate it, man. You're gonna hate your life. You're gonna hate training. Right. You're gonna hate eating good food. So balance is really important. And for protein wise, like I eat a lot of chicken, grass-fed beef, fish. I love salmon. You
can't eat beef. See, I thought beef was a bad mother. You weren't supposed to touch this stuff. But it's got to be the right kind of cut.
Talk, bro. Beef's great. Yeah, beef's good, man. Just grass-fed. You make sure it's, you're getting it from a good, what would you call a good product, and you're fine, man. You're fine.
Right. Okay.
That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion.
I mean, and only that, but I've heard this too, and I've never done it, but a lot of people recommend just logging what you eat. Just write it down. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a full calorie count, but if you write it down over the course of the week what you're intaking, you're going to see the culprits pretty quick. So, for instance, it's like yesterday, ate 1 whole bag of Miss Vicky's chips, right? Like you write this sort of stuff down, you're going to see exactly what you're doing to your body. But training for people nowadays,
a good way to start for sure.
This is something that's become an epidemic, fellas, and that is fitness. I had some stats, and I've already lost it off my damn sheet here. But when you look at people
honestly,
who are overweight, it's bad.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jett. You want to talk about a little bit about nutrition? Or did I lose you? Now we're all just staring at the camera. Jett, are you there, buddy?
I'm here. Yeah,
I can hear you.
There you are.
A little bit. Okay.
Tell us a little bit about what you were going to say about nutrition there. I lost you a little bit.
Exactly. Just like exactly what Wolfgang said. The only thing I would add on to it is just basically it depends on what your goal is. Like a lot of people losing weight, I would just say try to keep track of your calories. Like that's what I do when I'm cutting weight for a fight, or when I'm got to diet down to a certain point for my fight. I just count the calories, everything, every meal I do, and what my calorie intake for that day is, and I got to meet that and try not to go over that. And then I honestly, like most people can go online, they can find a calorie calculator, see what they need to maintain at their current body weight and what they need to cut in. And then, that's good. Like I start honestly, I just start as little as like 200 to 300 calorie deficit. And then from there, sometimes I go into 500 calorie deficit, and I just continue to lose weight just by tracking my calories. So
I'm glad you brought that up, Because cutting weight looks like the most miserable goddamn thing I have ever seen in my life. You see fools wearing tinfoil suits, running on treadmills in saunas and stuff like that. It's the worst. Why do fighters do this?
Yeah, so dieting and cutting weight is actually two completely different things. So
right.
Dieting, so like when I diet or just like start to cut down my body fat, that's when I get the calories in. But like a week out, I'm basically at the weight I'm gonna be. That's when I'm kind of starting the actual weight cut. So the actual weight, that's like your manipulation of water. So you're basically dehydrating yourself as much as you can, or to the certain weight class you agreed to on to get down to that weight class, and then you got to hydrate up to your actual weight.
That sounds fucking miserable, man. Like, I think of dehydrated. I'm like, so what you're saying is you're living with a hangover for like 4 days is what it's got to feel like.
No, so here's how it works is usually 5 days out for me. This is how I do it. I start water loading. So I start with drinking like anywhere from 2 to 3 gallons. Like, let's say, I think, 3 days, 2 to 3 gallons. I just chug a whole bunch of water. And then the 4th day, I think, it's when I start to cut the water in half. And then I start peeing all of it out. And then usually by doing the water loading process, you usually lose about like anywhere from like 3 to 5 pounds just by drinking, and then you pee it all out. Yeah. Just by overloading. Overloading the water. And then from there,
I've cut 20 pounds in 2 days before.
Oh my God.
There you go.
That doesn't sound healthy, Wolfgang, dude.
Dude, it was bad. It was bad. It was one of the worst weight cuts of my life. I hated it.
Oh, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like, normal people, like, this is not a healthy thing. You need smart people that know what they're doing to cut this sort of weight. But what I'm wondering is, how come you do it? The idea is, right, you're cutting weight so that you can come in for a certain weight class, but when you fight, you're actually heavier than that class. It's an advantage game, right? Is that what it is?
Advantage game. Yeah, like, I think so. And some people need to be in their weight class because, I don't know. And also everyone's
it's supposed to give you like the size advantage.
Yeah, so that's what I think. Yeah, I think it's an advantage game. Exactly.
Do you guys know many fighters that just roll in like off the street? Like, that's their weight, that's what they fight at. Is there many fighters that even do that?
Yeah, there's a couple guys in the UFC that do that.
No,
there's some guys, but
I don't know.
There's some guys, but
I don't know personally.
But not personally, but
I mean,
you're cutting 20 pounds in 2 days.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you, Wolf, like, what did you do? Did you just like put yourself on a spit over a fire and just sweat for 48 hours, or how did you do it, man?
Dude, it was the worst weight cut of my life, man. I
You look scarred.
I don't even like
even
thinking about it. It makes me stick to my stomach. It was horrible. Yeah, it was bad. It was pretty much just 2 days straight of Epsom salt baths, hot Epsom salt baths, and sauna for hours upon hours to drop 20 pounds.
Epsom salts. What's that all about? It just pulls all the water out of you. Is basically all it is, right? Makes you sweat, pulls the water out. That's it. That sounds miserable, dude.
That's it, man. Makes you sweat.
Jett, I gotta ask, man. Tell
horrible.
us about the tournament.
And I went from 168 to 145.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah.
Jett, I was looking you up today, and I thought I'd try and check out some of your footage, and you seem like more of sort of a wrestling ground and pound guy. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah, that's how I fight most of my fights. Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching the 2018 Jett Grande versus Patty Wilkinson WMMAA World Championships.
Yeah.
I don't know how this tournament was set up, bro, but when you walked into that ring, it looked like 4 dudes got a hold of you and beat the shit out of you like 2 nights before or something.
Well, I did have 3 fights right before then. I had 3 fights. Oh my God. So I had 4 fights in 5 days. Yeah.
Oh, that's like, that's some kind of, that's in the fighting world. That's got to be some Iron Man shit. Like, does that, That sounds like it's even illegal. Like you can't do it in Western countries. You have to go to some secret fucking area, some Middle Eastern country where nobody knows about it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. So basically, how it works is they do weigh. You have to weigh in every day, and then on top of that, after you weigh in, you got to go through a medical exam. So if you don't pass the medical exam, you're not allowed to fight. Because there's actually some people that win their fights, but the next day they try to fight and they don't pass the medical exam. So, you know,
Dude,
so
how the hell did you pass a medical exam?
Well, it's actually I scar up real easy. Like I scar and get black eyes real easy. Like I barely get touched. Well, first of all, I barely get touched in my nosebleeds. Second of all, I barely get touched and I just get a black eye. Like I don't know, it's just sharp facial features. I just get real marked up real easy because I barely got punched. Like
I don't know, man. I looked at your face. You got tagged.
No, I really did. Like I didn't get punched that much. Like I did most of the punching. Like,
did you see that
that
fight? I'm sure you did,
times.
Wolf. Oh my God, I felt for you. I'm like, oh my, this dude's bruised up. He's got to go in there and take more shots to the face. Oh, yeah. No wonder he's laying on him. That's what I'm thinking. Where was that?
That was in Bahrain. Bahrain, Manama, Bahrain. Yeah, and that was for the 2018 Junior Welterweight Amateur Championship of the world.
Well, how do you boys how do you do that? Like pain management has got to be a reality for every fighter. You just got to deal with it. And there must be something that you either train within you or you just have to push through that, right?
Yeah, you just kind of gotta. I don't know.
I think so. You get used to the punishment, like through training.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm such a bitch, man. I was kicking the bag, and that sucked enough.
Some people can take more punishment than others.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what it is too. It's just like you eventually you get used to it, you know, and it doesn't you kind of just get used to it, so it doesn't have as much of effect as it used to have.
Is that when you really have found a different level as a fighter? Because I watched you guys, and you can you're just judging the length and it's right there. It's not clipping you, but there must be a special kind of calm within you to let somebody whiff your head like that and continue on. I'm super impressed by what you both do. I think it's absolutely incredible, and I have the highest respect for MMA fighters when it comes to athletics. One of the things I want to ask about, though, speaking of dealing with pain, CBD has been an interesting sort of, it's still a little bit of a debate when it comes to especially the big leagues like the UFC. Where do you guys stand on it? Do you use it for recovery? Because it's legal here in Canada. It's different than stateside. Or is that something you don't really play with?
I don't use it personally, but
I've never.
I know people that do use it, but I don't use it. But that's just
you don't buy it, Wolf. It's not your thing.
Yeah, same. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I mean, like I've tried it a few times, because my brother had some around kicking around the house, and I did sleep better, I think, or maybe it's placebo. Where's that? What placebo?
Placebo. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I didn't do it long enough to really figure out if it works or not.
Because they talk about how it has all these properties when it comes to recovery and pain management and this sort of thing. Like if you just come out of a war, right? Like this stuff is supposed to help you deal. But what do you do with that? Your ears are ringing. You just went hard with somebody in the cage. I mean, that pain management, are you taking anything for that? Is there a way to get around it or no? Or are you just Orogelling your entire body? Like you just have like Oragel spray bottles?
Well, it depends on your injuries, but like, you know, when my face, I just put ice on it and just ice and rest, really. Just ice and rest in time.
Man, you guys are old school.
Goes away. Well, it's kind of real. I don't know. What do you think, Wolfgang?
Dude, I mean, my worst injury was a broken nose and a broken orbital bone after a fight. And I think pretty much just iced. And I had a little bit of painkillers because I couldn't, and that's about it. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
And just time.
Well, that's what. Yeah, I broke my nose too, And yeah, just same with. Well, I did. It was when I broke my nose. It was all the way over here. So
Oh, gross.
I had to go to the ER, and they set my nose. And then just basically from then, yeah, I was just icing, and it literally took about, honestly, before my face got back to normal, it took about 2 months. So
2 months.
well,
Good
about 6
God.
weeks, I'd say at least 6 weeks at least. I don't know. I think, anyways, yeah. Then,
Is that the worst injury you've ever had? Like that
no.
really
So
bad
I've
busted
had.
nose?
So basically, 20. No, not. When I was 18, so 4 years ago, I was training, and unfortunately, I don't know what happened. I got slammed, like kind of like, it's kind of a long story, but anyways, I got slammed, and basically the guy went to suplex me, and I put my arm out right here, and basically my shoulder went back, and I blew my shoulder out, tore my labrum completely.
Oh, God.
So that was about an 8-month layoff. So just lots of physio, lots of rest, lots of physio exercises, and now it's 100%. But unfortunately, my last fight, the fight I lost, like it is what it is. But I was fighting this tough Irish guy, Nate Enright. So basically, what happened with that fight was I went in, I fought, I took him down within 10. I went for the takedown within 10 seconds. As I took him down, I was taking him down, and the shoulder was out. As I took him down, the shoulder just popped out. It completely dislocated. Yeah. So the whole first round, I fought the guy with one arm, and then
Dude,
I go
you're
back.
An animal.
Well, and then I go back in my corner, and I told my coach Gary Vig that my shoulder is dislocated, and he's like, "What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Like in my head, I should have quit because I think my shoulder would have been better off. But I was like, no, I gotta try to fight this guy. So basically, the second round comes, my arm's still hanging. Like I get it up to here about, and then I come and I still take him down with one arm actually. So I was pretty happy about that. But yeah, and then all it took though was my shoulder just to slip out on the mat. And he just overhooked me and just cranked my shoulder, and that was it. And then, yeah, so. But yeah, so that was my last fight. I won that. Dude. I lost that due to injury. That's my only loss, and it is what it is. Like injuries are part of this game, but honestly, like, yeah, they're not that common. Like I don't know. I've probably been injured more than most people. I feel like I don't know. Well, I don't know. Well, maybe about the same timeline.
You sound like you bleed a lot. Wolf, like a busted orbital bone.
He does bleed a lot. He bleeds.
I mean,
yeah, I do.
That's what sells fights, man. That's it. Does that actually affect you if you have a bad leaky nose?
Yeah, bro. It's the hurt business, man. It's the hurt business for a reason.
So that's what it like. So if you could pop somebody's snout, like you're doing the right. And I see people now up against the cage. They're doing the shoulder thing right to the nose, like trying to get that thing going.
Well, yeah, it can affect your breathing a little bit, but like for me, like when I'm actually fighting, I don't like it's just a pain in the butt because if it starts to bleed too much, the refs can stop it just by a bloody nose, which is
that sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. So like I just start to get a little worried when my nose starts bleeding. But like for me, I can still fight through a bloody nose. But
it's kind of like it's game though. Like if you're all slippery with blood, like it's harder to grab a hold of you and stuff. Is that bullshit or is that a real thing?
Well, like that one time when I broke my nose,
that's real.
When I was fighting, I broke my nose. The third round, basically I got on top of the guy. Like, so basically what happened, how I broke my nose was I decided to go for a takedown from too far out. I still took him down, but as I went for the takedown, he went for a kick in the shin right across my nose. So I broke it in half. And then, but I still got the takedown, got on top of him. But my nose was so much full of blood, like towards the end of the round, my eye could just see red. Like I see nothing else. So I was in his guard and I was just hitting him, and it was just red. So.
You're an animal,
crazy
dude.
Story.
For those of you just tuning in, thanks a lot for joining us on the Distillery. We got Wolfgang Janssen and Jett Grande. Jett is currently fighting, has a hell of a great record, which doesn't mean anything anymore. It's 15-1-0. That's his amateur record, but the dude's going pro. And Wolfgang is a guy that I know from our local gym from Can Pro, and of course, a fighter himself. But I got to ask you, Wolf, 5-2-0. Your last fight was what, 2015? What wrapped it up, man? Injuries, like? Or you just decided that that's not what you're about anymore?
Yeah, well, a little bit of both, probably. Injury. That was, I broke my orbital bone in my nose in that fight, losing that fight. So I had a little layoff from that, and then I had a few attempted comebacks, and I just kept getting hurt. Brain injuries, a couple back injuries, and my fire just kind of slowly started dwindling. And yeah, the rest is kind of history. I just started focusing on what I could focus on, and that was the martial arts. And kept training, kept hanging, around guys like Jett, and and helping those guys get ready for fights. Traveling still. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, who knows? I might still make my comeback. I always said that I never wanted to end my career on a loss. So I might still get in there one of these days. And
if you need a win, I'll book one with you, baby. You got this. I'll book one with you. Let's go. Come on, man. I'm just going to come in and Frank the Tank that thing and hopefully catch
We can set that up. We can set that up, Tony. I got a big gym here, bro. We can set that up for sure.
You know those white dummies you guys train with? Like just the lumps of basically plastic. That's what it would be like with me, like just rolling me up. I think it'd be fun though. It was once said, what was it? Fight Club? Oh, we lost Jett. He'll probably be back. It was once said, Wolf, how much can you know about yourself if you've never been in a fight? That comes from Fight Club. Do you think there's some truth to that? Oh,
say that again.
There we go.
I'm getting a little bit of interference here.
Oh, got a little bit of lag.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. We good. Wolf, I remember the quote from Fight Club. How much can you know yourself? How much can you know about yourself if you've never been in a fight? Do you think there's some real truth about you if you get in the ring? Because a lot of people have a lot of bravado, but then it's real and the honesty comes out. Is that a bullshit statement? How much can you know about yourself if you've never truly been in a fight?
I think that's really true. I think it's really, really true.
Jett, you feel the same way?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you find a lot out about yourself in a fight or competition, like if you're in a hurt or a troubled state, like how you're gonna push through, like if you got heart, you're gonna find out what you're made of when you're in a fight, what your character is, your sportsmanship, everything like that. So
I think it takes a special person to compete in that sort of league, in that line of athletics. Some people have a killer instinct, they like that sort of grind, and some people just don't. And I think it takes a special person to do it. And I commend you both for even giving it a shot, because it's very impressive, the shape you have to keep yourself in, and of course all of the technique that goes into it. The question I throw to you both, I'll start with you, Jett. Why should everybody train some sort of martial art? What is the benefit? Why should everybody take advantage of it?
Well, first of all, self-defense, confidence being able to know you can defend yourself, fitness, and it's just a great hobby. Like absolutely, fitness, self-defense. And it's a great hobby, like something like it's a good family. Like as soon as you get in a good school, you got a good family, great teammates around you, and you can really, it's a good place to meet people too. So those are my reasons.
Wolf, I see your connections kind of leveled out a little bit. Why should everybody train a martial art? And maybe you could speak a little bit more to the mental side of it as well too. Wolf, you there, buddy? Connectivity?
Yeah, man, my connection is whack right now.
That's okay. What
Can you
we're going
hear
to do, yeah, Wolf, we're going to remove you. You go ahead and reconnect. But Jett, there's got to be a mental side to it as well, too. I do know anything that's fitness is obviously a stress relief.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's a huge mental side in it, actually. Like, first of all, like, just like the discipline it teaches you. Discipline, it can be carried out through whatever you choose to do in your life. And also not just the discipline, but like the mental side of it, how to keep calm in certain situations, right? And like, just the breathing exercises, like just how to keep calm in certain situations and everything like that, and the discipline. And
I think that makes sense because I'm a bit of a hot-headed guy and I'm a very reactional type of person. I think when you have a sport that teaches you, for instance, when you're in a role and you're doing some jujitsu and somebody catches you into something, you need to keep your calm and find a way out of it rather than being immediately reactive, which could make the situation worse. And let's face it, being emotionally reactive almost always makes the situation worse.
Yeah, 100%. Right? Yeah. And that's what also martial arts teaches you, is to be calm in a certain situation. Because if you go out in or if you just even go out in training, like balls to the wall, super angry, you're not going to have a good training session, and you're going to need to learn how to calm yourself. You're going to need to learn how to control yourself. That's what also martial arts teaches you, is control and self-awareness as well.
Right.
When you're practicing with moves, like when you're sparring with someone, or even when you're just rolling with someone, you're like almost trusting that person with your life, so like you gotta, so you gotta work together as a team and communicate with each other.
What about women in MMA? I remember watching the very first Ultimate Fighter that featured the ladies, and I was enthralled. Number one, because I came in not knowing what sort of skill level I was going to see.
Yeah.
It was really impressive. And for two, chicks fight until they're burger. Like, they were animals, man. It was very impressive.
They are 100%.
Do you see a lot more ladies out in the fight scene locally, or is it still it's still growing?
Oh yeah, no, I still see a lot more ladies on the local fight scene for sure. Like at my gym, Red Deer, Rashido, Red Deer, and just all over the community. Yeah, women's MMA is definitely growing for sure. Like it really is. So and lots of I train with lots of talented female fighters, and some of those female fighters are the best fighters I've ever, especially technically wise, and they're the best martial artists and fighters I've ever trained with. So yeah.
Did you ever feel a little weird, rolling the mat with a girl? Like, just asking personally, like, did you ever feel a little weird, or you have to put that part out of your head?
No, I just put that part on my head. I just know it's for training. I know, that's the thing with me. Like, every time I go out and train, I'm just thinking about training, what will make me better at the end of the day. And it's just training at the end of the day. So whatever's going to make me better and make everyone else there better, I'm just glad to be a part of it. And I just work together as a team. So yeah, it's just, I don't get weirded out by it.
Do you think, okay, and I'm going to give you a hockey example because I'm very familiar with that sport. Yeah. And you can see the skill level growing so much because of the specialized training that's now being offered to kids at such a young age. Has it reached that yet when it comes to martial arts and MMA, or not quite? Or is that why we're seeing fighters now who have, for instance, Habib? I mean, the guy rolling around with the video rolling around with bears and stuff. Do you think because they're training younger and starting younger, that the level of game in MMA it still hasn't even come close to its ceiling?
Well, I definitely think MMA as an overall sport is still continuing to growing. But I think without a doubt, though, the younger generation is getting better and better and better. 100%. Kids are starting out in wrestling at 4 years old. They're starting out in BJJ at 4 years old, and they're just continuing to follow that path for the rest of their lives. So yeah, they're gonna get good. And not on top of that, like what I went through IMMAF, they're creating a new amateur scene, so that's gonna help the sport out a lot as well. And they actually, what IMMAF has done now is they've actually made youth division. So it's actually no head contact. It's just all body contact and just wrestling, grappling. But it's just like what's called pancration. So amateur pancration or whatever. But it's like amateur MMA, but it's just modified. So just no head contact. But they're still on competing. So anyways, they still host events like that. So yeah, so the amateur scene is growing, and that'll help the sport out a lot. Like look at boxing, like amateur boxing has helped fighters out a lot, get that experience, get that exposure. So I think the amateur side of the sport is going well, and also like what you said, the training is definitely getting, like, especially the younger generation. Like at my gym, Arashido, I see a whole bunch of killers that are, very young and started out much younger than I have. Right. And that's definitely helping out the sport.
Do you think
that's why oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, do you think stateside they have a leg up because they have such an organized system for instance, for wrestling? Wrestling, you see a lot of the best wrestlers coming out of the NCAA. They're getting into MMA and shit like that. But I can't think of a parallel program here on our side of the board that has anything.
You know what? To be honest with you, like Canada's doing good, but like especially in that Canada's doing good in the BJJ and martial arts side, but like right now for the MMA side, I think to be honest with you, like the Dagestans and Russians and all those guys are doing really good. Like they're really big into it right now. But we'll probably catch up. But like right now, like when I see what I've seen from the IMMF when I was competing there, like it was like 90% of the top guys in the amateurs were Russians and Dagestans and all those guys. So yeah, so those are the guys that are gonna be you're gonna watch out for, and those are the up and coming guys. But there's up and comers in all countries. Like, don't get me wrong, like Canada.
Listen, man, no, you hit it right. Russians are fucking terrifying. The Russians are scary, man. These guys go for coffee with bears in their car. Like that's
and the thing is though, that's a big difference between Russia. They're state sponsored, so they're sponsored. They're sponsored athletes, so the government pays for everything. They pay for training, even at amateur MMA. Like that's why in the IMMAF, what I competed in the amateur side, that's why they're like all the top guys are Russians, because their government pays for everything, and they're actually like treating it as a national. Like their country's treating it as a real national sport, and here in Canada, the government does not care about amateur MMA.
No,
like really, you've never heard about it.
Even some of our bigger sports, they don't.
Bahrain, Russia and Bahrain, the MMA is big there, but
Wolf, welcome back, buddy. We're talking a little bit about the support systems for growing sport within the country. What are some of the things people can do to help our local fighters and fight scene? And is there sponsorships? Is there donation boxes? How does it all work?
Sponsorships, really, but there's no it's really personal. So you have to, like, pretty much as the athlete, you have to go and seek sponsorship.
Right.
There's no what would you call it? Like when you go to college, you can get like
a scholarship.
Yeah, there's no scholarships, unfortunately, for mixed martial arts or anything like that. So if you want to get paid, you're gonna have to fight pro. If you want to get supported, you're gonna have to go and like seek sponsorships.
Yeah.
Your family hopefully will support you. If they're well off, and they see that you have a passion for it. Your gym will support you.
Yeah. It sounds like and honestly, you can have a gym, you can have a team, you can have a league that you're working in, all that shit. But at the end of the day, you're still just like you in the ring. You're gonna have to make it happen on your own somehow. And I think our system has a long way to catch up. And I hope it does in the future. Jett, I got high hopes for you, man. I just want you to remember when you're in the octagon and it's UFC and stuff, you just remember the little guys back home. That's all I ask. I guess the last question I've really got for you both is, Wolf, what's the future of the sport look like? I was telling Jett a little bit about how training is, or kids are getting into it younger and younger, and that's going to change the game going forward. These animals, these robots that come out, right?
Yeah, man, the level's always getting better. I mean, like this sport, since even when I started, 14 years ago, it's evolution big time. The fighters are better, more well-rounded. They train everything. There's no more just one style versus one style. Everybody can wrestle, they can box, they can jiu-jitsu. It's and the younger the kids come in, the better they are. And yeah, like you said, kids are, because it's becoming more mainstream, and it's on television more. Kids want to train. I train a lot of different kids, and they're really gung ho about wanting to fight. Yeah. So,
well, Jett, I know you've got a lot of support. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity to throw out your shout outs for your people that are taking care of you, that are currently working with you. So go ahead, man. Who's your folks?
Yeah, 100%. Well, first of all, thank you to Arashdo Red Deer, and thank you for everyone, all my training partners, everywhere, that have helped me. I just want to say all my training partners, all the different coaches I've had, thank you so much. And then some of my sponsors, thank you DK Law Canada, thank you Global Overhead Doors, thank you Jackpot Casino, thank you BP Mechanical, Never Tap Canada, Powergenic Industries, Day Dental, shout out to Hertz Nutrition right here, FXC Inspections, Fit Physio, Dr. Hoffman's Chiropractic, Fisherman's Pride, and then lastly, Mortal Kombat Fight Shop. So thank you for all those guys. I couldn't do it without you. So thank you.
With COVID right now, Jett, looking forward, is there a fight that we can look forward to? Is there, or really everything's kind of up in the air? What can you tell us? What can't you tell us?
Well, it's kind of up in the air, but I do I almost have something close. I can't really announce it, but as soon as I do have something, I will announce it on my social media under Jett MMA, and then under Jett Grande on Facebook. I will announce it as soon as I figure something out. So hopefully it's soon, but with this COVID restrictions changing every day, but I hope to make announce my pro debut soon. So.
All right. Well, do me a favor. When you hit the ring again, you need a ring walk-up song, man. I got you. Listen, my band Iron Buffalo has a song called Arm Yourself, and it's about wolves. And I got to ask before we go, what the hell is up with the wolf tattoo? What did it say on there? Oh,
it's White Fang, yeah.
What's up with the White Fang tattoo, man?
Well,
that's a good story, man. That's a good story.
That's a good story how I got it, but also what its meaning is, it's actually based off a childhood book that I actually read as White Fang. So it's just a childhood book I've read from it, and I kind of, it's just a story I loved. But anyways, so basically I got this in Thailand, and I got it literally same day as we left to fly out, I got this tattoo. But don't get me wrong, I had this tattoo completely planned out a couple months ahead.
Right.
But yeah, it was a couple hours before I flew out of Thailand. I got it.
It was my idea too.
Yeah.
We were eating. I'll tell you the story. And my tattoo was all freshed up. We were talking tattoos. Just it's like, Jett, man, you should have got a tattoo, bro. He's like, yeah, I should have, man. I was like, dude, we can go over there right now. We don't fly out. We don't fly out for 4 hours. We're in Thailand, dude. You can do anything in Thailand. And we run to the tattoo shop. The guy is available. He says, okay, give me the ideas. Jett's got all his IDs. He gives it to him, sets him on the table, and just starts inking. Man, it was awesome.
What? So you must have had no time to spare. You get buzzed out and then just poof, you're gone.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. It was good. I got a good story to tell, and it's a great tattoo, so I'm happy with it.
I mean, you got to have a little ink. You got to look badass getting into the ring, man. You can't be all that squeaky clean kind of guy. Got to just fear in the heart of your opponent. Fellas, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining me. This has been a great episode of the Distillery. Frankly, I could sit here and pick your brain for another 3 hours, but I'm sure you guys have better things to do than sit around and watch me drink on camera. Okay, so fellas, until the next great adventure, Jett Grande, that's at Jett MMA. Wolfgang Janssen, you can find him also on Instagram, Janssen Wolf. It's the other way around. And it's been a good time. Thanks, fellas. And for those of you that tuned in, every Saturday we're trying to bump out another episode. It's usually around 7 o'clock. And next week, I'm super excited because one of my good friends and actually one of my gym trainers is going to be stopping by as we talk hockey.
Next time on The Distillery.
Join us February 6th for The Distillery, Episode 8, Building a Hockey Franchise from Scratch. Al Parada and Doug Quinn of the Black Falls Bulldogs will join us to talk exactly how you put a team together from nothing. We'll talk about the new facility that's being built and, of course, some expectations going forward for their inaugural season. Don't miss it. It's The Distillery, Episode 8, February 6th.